Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
In a month's time, Boris Johnson's 8-year term as Mayor of London ends, leaving one of the most powerful jobs in the country up for grabs. The next mayor will preside over a city that's home to 8.6 million people. That's roughly the populations of Scotland and Wales combined. They'll have the power to decide policy in areas like housing, transport and policing, and will control a budget of £17 billion. There have only been 2 mayors since the job was created back in 2000, Boris Johnson and Ken Livingstone, both big, colourful characters with headline-grabbing appeal. So who's going to fill the shoes? All this week on the programme, we'll hear from some of the candidates, starting with the 2 frontrunners, Conservative candidate Zach Goldsmith and Labour's Sadiq Khan. They couldn't have more different backgrounds. One is the son of a billionaire businessman and politician who grew up in the public eye, and the other is the son of a bus driver who grew up on a council estate in South London. Our political guru, Norman Smith, has shared a cab with them both. We're calling it Cab Share.
Hello. Morning. Can I go to the office of the fantastic Tooting MP? It's on Balham High Road near Tooting Tube Station.
Tooting it is. In you go.
Thank you very much. Right, just get organised.
What are you? You an Uber man or a black cab man?
I'm both an Uber and a black cab man.
Do you go along with some of the ideas to curb Uber, for example, forcing them to wait 5 minutes? I mean, specifically with Uber, there's a view amongst black cabbies they have an unfair advantage. So do you think if you were mayor, you would look to do something to curb the advantages that Uber have?
I'm not sure if waiting for 5 minutes works. The important thing is to make sure we level the playing field. So, for example, just think about what you've got to go through as a black cab driver before you can drive a black cab. The vehicles are so expensive, they're all disabled friendly, the criminal checks, the knowledge you've got to do. Rather than levelling down your high standards, let's level up the private hire vehicle standards. So, for example, basic knowledge, speaking English, doing the security checks.
Well, how does that work? Do they have English tests or something?
Yeah, we'll need to. We'll need to bring up their
English
standards.
tests for cab drivers.
Basic English should be a requirement if you're a public servant.
And if they don't get that, they wouldn't be able to. They wouldn't be able to operate as a cab driver.
In my view, if you're in any public-facing job, you should be able to speak basic English.
I thought while we're waiting at this light, why don't I give you some quick-fire questions so people can get a feel of where you are on things, sort of yes/no things. So, do you believe in God?
Yes.
Are you offended by page 3?
As a feminist, as a dad, I think it's not great to have women's naked bodies in newspapers that are read by millions.
Was that a yes or a no to being
I'm not
offended?
personally offended.
Okay. Would you take in, or think about taking in, a Syrian refugee?
I'd speak to my wife about it first, but assuming that the family agreed to it, then yeah, with the space. At the moment it's difficult with 2 teenage daughters, but yeah.
Just passing that cyclist, do you think cyclists should have to wear helmets?
No, but we've got to make it safer and easier for people to cycle.
I saw on your website one of the things you want is to be the most pro-business
Absolutely.
Mayor, but I don't think of you as a pro-business politician, because I was looking at your record, and when it comes to things like corporation tax cuts for business, you've always voted against that.
So I'm the only candidate with the experience of helping run a successful business. I'll go with the Conservative Chancellor and a Conservative Prime Minister on trade missions around the world to get business for London.
You'd be happy to go on I don't know, visits to India or wherever with George Osborne?
I will. But look, I'll also be, campaigning, hopefully, as the Mayor of London between May the 5th, May the 6th after the election, and June the 23rd, with Conservative Prime Minister, Conservative Chancellor, Conservative Business Secretary, for us to stay in the European Union. I mean, I've seen the benefits it does.
What do you say to those of in your party who would say, well, you're giving legitimacy to your party's opponents?
The future of the city I love, the future of our country is far more important than tribal party politics.
How does that go down in your party, and particularly with the likes of Jeremy Corbyn, that sort of, I'm going to work with George Osborne, I'm going to work with David Cameron approach?
I think when it comes to being a mayor of a great city, you've got to recognise your role is to be the champion for that city. I'm not Jeremy Corbyn's representative to London.
You, of course, voted for Jeremy Corbyn.
I nominated him.
Nominated him, sorry, to get him in the contest. Do you regret that now?
No, and it's quite important for us to recognise the Labour Party has lost not one, but 2 general elections in a row badly.
Do you seriously think Jeremy Corbyn's going to put you in a better position to win?
But to deprive the Labour movement of a chance to vote for all the candidates that they could have had a chance to do so would have been wrong.
But at the end of the day, you surely want Labour to be in the best position to form a government. My question is, do you think Jeremy Corbyn puts you in a better position to form a government?
Oh, of course I do. But that's why it's been wrong to exclude somebody from the ballot paper. And look, the Labour movement voted for Jeremy Corbyn. I may not have voted for Jeremy Corbyn, but he's got a big mandate.
It sounds like you are a supporter of his.
Of course I support the Labour Party.
But I mean, you're still an MP, Sadiq. You know how many MPs view Jeremy Corbyn, and they are terrified that however popular he might be in the Labour Party, many, many voters are just never going to vote for him, and therefore your party is potentially heading for an even worse encounter with the electorate at the next election.
Well, and those are some of the challenges that Jeremy Corbyn as the leader has to overcome. I'm not the leader of the Labour Party, thank goodness.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about immigration, because obviously a huge issue, London a huge magnet for immigrants. Do you think there are too many immigrants?
No. I think it's really important, though, to explain that question in some more detail rather than yes and no. We've got to understand that for the last 1,000 years, we've benefited as a city from trade, from ideas, and from people. And my parents were immigrants. I'm a child of immigrants. And you've got various forms of immigration. You've got those who come on a work permit, those who are students, those who are asylum seekers and refugees, those who are family reunion, those who come and don't have a good reason. And so what's really important is that we distinguish the different types of immigration.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I mean, if you think London is perhaps the most diverse cosmopolitan city in the world, possibly.
Absolutely.
But it is a numbers issue, isn't it? Because the numbers puts massive strain on resources. So at the end of the day, London is already a diverse city and people are by and large okay with that. Numbers is a question, and my question to you is, do you think the numbers at the moment are too high?
No, I don't. It's about making sure we plan for the numbers, so the growth. So let me give you an example. If we were to, one of my plans is sort of about homes for Londoners in City Hall. I would be in charge of making sure there are genuinely affordable homes built in London. At least half would be genuinely affordable, where you pay social rent, a London living rent, a third of average earnings, but also homes you can afford to buy under shared ownership.
What do you say to those who view you as someone who's a bit of a flip-flopper? I'm thinking obviously of Heathrow, where you used to be very much in favour, now totally opposed.
I'm not going to apologise for changing my mind if the facts change. I'm not some sort of mad ideologue who's stubborn, is going to keep his, head in the sand when it comes to the facts changing. Look, our area in London is a killer. It makes you sick, and it's illegal in those circumstances. No to a new runway at Heathrow.
But it's not just on Heathrow, is it? I mean, you take the mansion tax. I mean, you used to be a strong supporter of that. Those with the broadest shoulders, but now you're against that too.
There used to be a saying in the 1980s that members of the Labour Party had: and the saying was, no compromise with the electorate. And we lost election after election after election. Now look, we put a manifesto to the British public last May. We got hammered. Now we can put it back to the British public either this May or in 2020, but don't be surprised if we get hammered. Look, I'm a Democrat, I'm a pluralist, I want to win elections. Now, I've got to recognise that the offer we had last May
That's why
wasn't
I was
good
asking
enough.
you about Jeremy Corbyn. I mean, you seriously think he is going to put you in a better position
Norman,
to win?
I tell you what, I'm working my socks off between now and May the 5th to win the London election, because, you know, only by winning elections can we change people's lives for the better.
Let me give you some quick fires on London, because
This is ones of common, by the way. When you know about running. So when I was training for the marathon, my route includes 3 commons: Tooting Common,
Yeah.
Clapham Common, and Wandsworth Common. And actually, this back run, when you run back here on the pavement,
Yeah.
you can feel the fumes from the exhaust. You can genuinely feel it. So
All right.
I changed my route to avoid the main road, even though this is the way back to my home because
All
of
right.
the air quality that we talked about.
Fine, let me ask you some London questions then. If I give you the tube, you obviously take the tube, so I'm going to give you a sequence. What do you want? You do the Northern Line, Central Line?
I'm Northern Line man.
Northern Line, okay. What's next in the sequence then?
Oh, that's hard.
No, this is easy. Okay, let's just have a listen. Tottenham Court Road, Leicester Square, Charing Cross.
So it'd be Embankment.
Yes, very good. Very
I'll tell you
good.
what, I can do better. The time between Embankment and Charing Cross is 30 seconds.
That's very good. Okay, here's a